Good evening. Thank you for visiting my channel. I'm talking about leadership and community, and today the focus is going to be, I don't know if you saw my other video on colonialism, how it affected families. This is about how it affected nations.
Darth Vader completes the conclusion of the reading of the bread, counting death. Darth Vader completes the conclusion of the reading of the bread, counting death. Darth Vader.
So at the end of the video of the families, the way of healing a family unit is exactly the same on how to heal a nation after colonial rule. So, national level unity, you must establish safety first of all, before unity is even possible. First, you need safety and rule of law. Secondly, you need to create truthful public narratives and accountability. And thirdly, rebuild institutions and shared culture that enable lasting cooperation. These three pillars should proceed together, sequenced and adapted to the local context, because every place is different. Every country has a different problem. So to rebuild the country after colonial rule, the sequence is this: safety, truth, repair, reform, rebuild culture. You got to do this in order and loop back, and then skip all these steps that increase risks of re-trauma, repression, or renewed conflict. So security and do no harm comes first. Reform the security services so they protect the civilians rather than a ruling clique, and this underpins safe civic participation. So within truth and acknowledgement, there is formal truth-seeking commissions, local truth processes, to establish what happened and validate victims' experiences. And then accountability where appropriate. A mix of criminal prosecutions for the worst crimes and restorative mechanisms for lower level harms. Then you have, this can all be detailed however you want to detail it. Now, reparations and redistribution, concrete economic and material measures, land reform, investment, access to services, to end structural inequalities. Institutional reform and inclusive governance. And you have to rewrite the Constitution, strengthen independent courts, devolve power, build civil service capacity. Revitalize the culture and have civic rituals. So, this truth commissions will replace the secrecy of colonialism with transparency. And this because public truth builds a shared understanding and prevents contradictory narratives from weaponizing the past. Poorly designed processes can entrench news narratives or create injustice. There's lessons to learn from Rwanda, and ensure legal safeguards and independent oversight. So after this comes the accountability. We got to replace domination with justice, fair justice. So you combine these trials, and then you use community-based restorative processes for other offenses. And why? Because this balances victims' need for justice with the practical need for social repair. So the next thing is that we have to replace abusive sectors with accountable institutions. You have to vet the police, the military, and bureaucracy for human rights violations, retrain and reorient to civilian protection, ensure civilian oversight and transparent promotion and removal processes. Why? Because without this, old coercive mindsets will be reproduced. Reparations and redistribution. We have to replace structural injustice with tangible redress. Targeted reparations, land restitutions, housing, scholarships, public investment in marginalized regions, economic policies that reduce extractive dependence. Why? Because a symbolic apology without material repair maintains grievance and distance. Don't forget that land and economic reforms are politically sensitive, so design them well. Here comes something very important. Constitutional legal reform. Replace arbitrary rule with shared rules. Why? Because durable institutions outlast personalities and create predictable civic behavior. So, education, language, and cultural policy. You have to replace imposed narratives with plural memory. Revise the school curricula to include multiple perspectives, support mother tongue education and indigenous knowledge, all the history, everything from the past. Fund cultural institutions that will promote this. So this creates an inclusive national identity. Then we go into civil society and local reconciliation. You have to repair dyads before the whole. Invest in grassroots NGOs, women's groups, traditional leaders, to repair local relationships, and use local reparative rituals and memorialization. And these local repairs strengthen national bonds. One relationship at a time. Family, then village, then nation. Create your own rituals in commemoration of national healing. Replace silence with ceremony, and celebrate your culture. Political economy. May this unity pay for people. Ensure participation and inclusion are tied to everyday benefits. Jobs, infrastructure, health, land rights, small business support, equitable taxation. Economic inclusion reduces incentives to return to identity-based competition. And then the guardrails. So we must avoid repeating colonial manipulation, which is colonial system used divide and rule, co-optation of elites and extractive institutions. You avoid these traps by transparent decision making, avoid elite capture, plural leadership, and international integrity. Limit undue foreign leverage in resource deals. So use independent monitoring, and during the transitional justice, if a policy makes tensions worse, change them quickly. It should be under constant evaluation. Here are some examples of where these community mechanisms can help, but they must be rights protective. Language and culture programs. It's very important to recuperate original identity, repair and social inclusion. The sounds of your original languages are what codifies and shifts your entire future. So here's a practical starter roadmap, 6 to 24 months, which is 2 years, of what to do when to make sure that there is a organized liberation. So since every place went through different things and different problems, the design specifics must be local and participatory, so that everybody actually understands what happened, what their needs are. So this is the political reality of the final cautions. There is no one single one-size-fits-all recipe. The balance of power determines what will work. And beware instrumentalizing unity to silence dissent. True unity is plural and democratic. You must design with the victims and marginalized group at the center, because if they are excluded, reforms simply reproduce old domination. So I have prepared a National Reparation Acts 2025 for Nigeria and Kenya and sent it on to several young, outspoken people and a few elders. And so if you want this in your country, let me know. I can literally prepare the document for any African country and so that you can go ahead and take charge of the narrative. Have a wonderful day.